Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Adam Lee Henderson of the Gilded Age brand, and I'm excited because I got another video. And we're going to talk about today episode 2 of the Gilded Age. Guys, I'm in love with this show, and episode 2 was just as entertaining as episode 1. We're in season 3, and in my last video, if you haven't already, go back and watch my little recap and reaction to episode 1. And so today I wanted to talk about episode 2. Excuse me as I refer to my watch. I have my notes on here. I left my iPad at home, so I gotta just be creative. But anyway, first things first, as I said before, I love how this show is addressing racism, but it's interesting that the Van Ryns are they're a bit inclusive and I guess progressive in their thinking in regards to racism and prejudice. You can see how they are extremely ashamed and upset with how their doctor refused service for one of their employees. And so they invite them over to Fifth Avenue, Manhattan. And, of course, it's interesting because the lady who plays the mom, Audra McDonald, who plays the mom, I wish I knew their name at the moment, but I always happen when they press record. But she's about to go into the service entrance way for where the employees go to, and her father's like, I was invited here, I'm going upstairs. And so they go upstairs, and it's just, I love how inclusive they are. It's very progressive in the thinking based on the time period of what this is representing. He even mentions how slavery just ended, and or not necessarily just ended, but how slavery has ended, but they still have the racism and prejudice nature walking around. And I think it's somewhat common to today's time. It mirrors a little bit of aspects of today, not blatant racism, but the prejudice society that we live in today. I thought that was pretty interesting to see. I thought it was pretty funny to see how Gladys ended up running away to her boyfriend, ran away to the arms of her boyfriend and stayed with her boyfriend's family, and how her mom and her boyfriend are a bit excited about this engagement. But I was intrigued with how Mrs. Russell, she shows up at the apartment. She finds out where her daughter ran off to, and that's how the episode opens. They're looking for Gladys, and they cannot find Gladys anywhere. And then Miss Russell finds out that, she's at the boys' house. I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going to get my girl from that house. And so one of the lines, though, that is interesting, because her boyfriend's mom is like, these kids are in love, they're engaged, you can't stop them from doing what they want to do. And she says, yes, I can, and I will. And so her mom is Mrs. Russell is standing 10 toes down on this expectation. She's not letting up. She says, I'm going to get my way. My daughter's going to have the best, and she better get in line. I knew that Mr. Russell would kind of totter the line a little bit. Like, he kind of would play both sides, but Mr. Russell gave, I guess he gave subtle pushback. He wasn't like blatant, but he was trying to be optimistic in the conversation with Mrs. Russell. But Mrs. Russell's like, like, this is how it's going to be, and we are all going to adapt to it, even Gladys. And so I knew that Mr. Russell was kind of going to cave in a respectful way. He still wants to take care of his daughter, but he also wants to keep that allegiance with his wife. And, he ain't playing with that, which he should. The interesting plot, though, with Charles divorcing his wife, I think that's such interesting. He's such a loser, though. I just think it's weird. But I like how they're playing that storyline to see how divorce was such a devastating thing. It was so, I guess it's frowned upon. It happened, of course. You never, it's not like it didn't happen, but like the men kept their status, but women lost theirs. I think that's pretty interesting to see, how that plays out. I'm curious to see how this works out. I feel like I feel like that storyline is going to get bad. It's going to get worse and worse. What I want to happen though is that I want her to find this kind of like inner strength and start playing a game. Like start, let's create some drama and some scandal to this matter. I don't know what's going to happen to that, but even Mrs. Van Ryn, she was just like Aunt Agnes, Charles was saying to her like, hey, you got to talk to her, Aunt Agnes. And she says, no, I'm not your Aunt Agnes anymore. And so she's kind of like standing with his wife, and he's kind of like clutching his pearls, bro. Like, man, what would you expect her to just be like, oh, okay, you're divorcing her girl? Like, don't do that. The two things that I did not see coming: Gladys and her boyfriend broke up. Like, he breaks her heart, and I did not see that coming. I thought that this was going to be a kind of like long drawn out storyline throughout the season, and I really thought they were going to end up together, like maybe like she'll elope or something like that. But when he broke up with her, I feel like he was a coward though. He punked out, and we don't want, I wouldn't want somebody like that with me. So I feel like Gladys really lucked out. But for him to break up with her because he's afraid, that was shocking to me. I didn't think that would happen so soon. But here's the scandal of it all. Bro, the Duke has arrived to the Russells' household. He brought his lawyer. For what? And Mr. Russell's like, why is he bringing his lawyer all the way to New York? Like, what's up? And so that clearly you see that Miss Russell is playing some type of game, but of course we don't know what's happening, and she's acting oblivious, but we all know that she is playing this family like puppets. And so I think that's not going to end well. Season 3, I think, should be a great pivot. Not necessarily a bad pivot, but we should now see some more heavy changes within the character development of these stories, right? Like, we got to, see more of a villain era of Mrs. Russell. Like, she's going to do whatever she needs to do for her family. And I love Mr. Russell. He has such a sweet spirit. He's logic, he's level, he's balanced in his conversations with everybody. I don't see him as someone, as his character loses his cool a lot, but he's just such a sweetheart, and I think it's beautiful. One interesting thing though about Van Ryn, Mr. Van Ryn, the son of Aunt Agnes, I wonder how this is going to play out for him. I hope that his new friend, his friend, quote unquote, is investing into him, and now they're about to help him get back on his feet. I hope that doesn't blow back on him, and hope that doesn't go in the wrong direction. But I really do think that he's still going to spiral out of control this season, and so it's interesting to see how this is going to pan out. All right, I hope it pans out well. But we're just in episode 2. As the season continues, the scandals are brewing. Oh my God. If you haven't already, go watch episode 1 and then watch episode 2 on HBO Max. You will enjoy it. If this is your thing, I think it's pretty cool. I forgot to mention, I love how they bring real life individuals. It's like historical fiction, right? Stories based on history. Made up characters that complement historical figures. And so they had JP Morgan on there, and how they were kind of plotting with building a train station, or maybe a new train system for transportation. And I thought that was pretty cool, just the depiction of JP Morgan, who is a world name to this day. Go watch episode 1, episode 2, catch up. Hope you enjoyed this video and there was something that really stuck out to you. I didn't really go into detail as far as like my predictions, but just wanted to react a little bit to the show. And I'll see y'all in episode 3 next week. Hopefully it'll be dropped sooner. Anyway, love y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.